Hello, this is Basim. I'm the lead developer at FillQuick, and in this video I will show you how to import customers from a spreadsheet into your FillQuick site. So I created a few spreadsheets for this video. I have a customer spreadsheet, the install equipment of these customers, and the notes on these customers. You will notice that all my files are in CSV format. The extension is .csv. And CSV is really the most common spreadsheet format, so it doesn't matter which spreadsheet software you're using or whether you're on Windows, Linux, or Mac. Always your spreadsheet software will be able to open and create CSV files. If your files are not already in CSV format, then please open them in your spreadsheet software and go to Save As. And from the list of file types, please select CSV, comma delimited. My files are already in CSV format, so I don't need to do that. So the next thing I wanted to show you is how FillQuick relates the records in these separate spreadsheets. Right now we have the customer spreadsheet open. And let's also open the install equipment spreadsheet. And I want to put this side by side with the customer spreadsheet. Okay, and the way FillQuick relates the customer record to the corresponding install equipment records is by the customer ID. You will see here that each of our customer records, it has an ID. For example, this record right here, it has an ID 1. And the equipment, the install equipment spreadsheet, it has a customer ID column 2. So these records here that have a customer ID 1, they will be related to this customer record here in the customer spreadsheet that also has the same ID, ID 1. And that's how FillQuick relates the records in the different spreadsheets. It's by the customer ID. Records having the same customer ID are related and should all be imported as a single customer. Okay, so now let's try to upload this spreadsheet and import them into FillQuick. From the left menu, I'll go to Customers and then Import. And before we start uploading the files, I wanted to show you the reference documents. You'll see a link to download the reference document here. And this reference document has all the information that you need to know about the format of the spreadsheets that is expected by FillQuick. You'll see that the reference document has multiple sheets. We have a customer's sheet, emergency contacts, install equipment, zones, payments, and notes. And each of these sheets, it corresponds to one of the files that can be uploaded to FillQuick. You'll see we have a customer's files, customer spreadsheet, emergency contacts, install equipment, zones, payments, and a notes spreadsheet. So if you want to get information about the expected format for the emergency contact spreadsheet, for example, you will open the reference document and you will go to the emergency contact tab here, the emergency contact sheet. It will tell you all the columns that are expected or that can be, that this spreadsheet can have. For example, the customer spreadsheet can have an ID column, can have a sold date, a lead source, and so on. There are many columns that the customer's sheet can have. And it will also tell you whether these columns are optional or required. For example, the address line 1 here, it's a required column. Your customer spreadsheet has to have an address line 1, and all the records in your spreadsheet have to have a value for the address line 1, because the address line 1 is a required field on FillQuick. So FillQuick cannot have a customer without knowing its address. And you see that address line 2 is optional, city, state, and zip are all required. County and the cross street are optional. And other than telling you whether the field is required or optional, it also tells you the format of the data in this field. Like the property type here, it tells you that the property type has to be either residential or commercial. It cannot have any other value. the site phone number has to have exactly 10 digits, and any non-numeric digits in the phone number will be ignored. And the two-way voice field, for example, will be a Boolean field. And if you want to get more information about the format of these fields, for example, what does Boolean mean? Then you just need to scroll all the way to the bottom of the sheet, and it will tell you more information about the exact format or the allowed values for these fields having a Boolean type. Okay, so now I'll try to upload this spreadsheet. I'll start by uploading the customers sheet. And the install equipment sheet. And the notes sheet. And you see in the right column we have a defaults form. These defaults, they'll basically tell FillQuick what to do if a value is not provided in the spreadsheet. Like, what if the spreadsheet doesn't have a value for monitored account? It doesn't tell, the spreadsheet doesn't tell whether this customer is a sold customer or an in-house customer. Or what if the spreadsheet doesn't tell the name of the seller who sold the account or the name of the technician who installed the account? In this case, FillQuick will use the defaults if provided, of course. Okay, now that we uploaded the spreadsheet, I'll go to the second step and validate them. So I click the validate button here. And we see that I got a few errors here, and that's because my spreadsheet doesn't conform to the specification of this reference document. So that's why I got a few errors here and a few warnings. And I'd like to explain the difference between errors and warnings. Errors, you can't ignore them. You have to resolve all the errors before you can import the data into FillQuick. Warnings, it's just FillQuick telling you that something might be a problem that you want to look at, and it's up to you to decide. Maybe you will decide that, okay, I understand the warning, but I decide to ignore it and import anyway. While errors, you cannot ignore them, you have to fix them before you can import. So let's look at these error messages. The first message, it's coming from the customer's sheet, and precisely from record number 3 on the customer's sheet. It says cellular is not a valid value for phone type. The valid values are home, cell, or work. So let's look at the customer sheet to see what this error is talking about. And the error was talking about record number 3. So record number 3 will be actually row number 4 on your spreadsheet, because the header row is ignored. So when FillQuick says record number 3, it means the third customer, ignoring the header row. It starts counting from the first data row. So this is our record number 3. And FillQuick was complaining about the value of the phone type. It said that cellular is not one of the acceptable values for the phone type. Just to confirm that, let's look at the reference document. On the customer sheet, let's find the phone type. Here is the phone type column. And in the format, it tells us that the valid values for this column are either home, cell, or work. So cellular is not a valid value. So now we can see why we got this error. And to fix it, it's a simple fix. Let's just change cellular to just cell and save this sheet. So this should take care of the first error. Now let's look at the second error. It's still from the customer CSV. It's from record number 4. And it is complaining that test4@gmail is not a valid value for email. Of course, it does look like an invalid email address. It doesn't have .com after Gmail. So let's open the customer spreadsheet again and look at record number 4, which would be row number 5. And here is the email address here, and yeah, clearly it's incorrect, and it's easy to tell that adding .com will fix the email address. Okay, so this was the second error. Now the third error, still in the customer CSV. Now this one is from record number 8. it says the technician sample technician X does not exist in your FillQuick site, and no default technician is specified on the defaults form. So let's first look at record number 8 in the customer spreadsheet. This is record number 8, and let's find the technician column. This is the technician column here. So yeah, the value of the technician for this customer is sample technician X. And this FillQuick site I'm on right now, it doesn't have a technician by the name of sample technician X. So FillQuick will not be able to relate this customer to a non-existent technician. FillQuick requires each customer to have a technician. So it needs either a valid value, it needs the spreadsheet to provide a valid technician name that does exist on the FillQuick site, or alternatively it needs a default technician to be specified on the defaults form. So probably if you have invalid technician names on your spreadsheet, probably maybe these are old technicians that used to work for you at some point and don't work for you anymore, and you don't really care to create them on your FillQuick site. You don't need to create users for them. If this is the case, it's a good idea to specify default for the technician. Let's do this from the defaults form on the input tab. Let's say that if the technician name is not provided in the spreadsheet, or an invalid technician name is provided in the spreadsheet, in these cases we want to link the imported customer to sample technician 1. And the old technician name, it will not be lost completely. No, actually it will go in a note. So the customer will be linked to sample technician 1, and the old technician name that's imported from the spreadsheet will go in a note. So you will still have this data, you will not lose this data, you will still know the old technician that originally installed this account. Okay, so this was this error, and now the next error. Oh, did I save this? Actually, remember to save the defaults after you make any changes. Okay, now this error, this one, it comes from the install equipment CSV, from record number 2. It says the product door sensor 2 gig does not exist in your FillQuick site. So let's open the install equipment spreadsheet. And it was complaining about record number 2, and record number 2, the product name is door sensor 2 gig. And it's saying that FillQuick does not, or this FillQuick site doesn't have a product by this name. It doesn't have a product named door sensor 2 gig. So let's look at the list of equipment items or this list of products on this FillQuick site. And you see that we have a product with a slightly different name, door/window sensor 2 gig. So probably this was the name in whatever system that was used to export the spreadsheet. And that's our name that we have in FillQuick. And the names need to match exactly for FillQuick to know how to import this equipment items. So I'll copy the name from here and I will paste it into the spreadsheet. And now the names will match exactly, and FillQuick will know which product the spreadsheet is referring to. So I'll make this change and save the spreadsheet. Now let's see the next error. So the last error, it's coming from the notes CSV. It says the CSV is missing the column user, which is required when no default user is specified on the defaults form. So again, let's open the user spreadsheet or the notes spreadsheet. And we see that this spreadsheet, it doesn't have a user column. And let's check the reference document. Probably the user column is required, and that's why FillQuick would not import this, will not import the spreadsheet without having a user column. So that's the user column right here. It's in the notes sheet in our reference document. It says that there is a column user, And this column is required unless a default user is specified. So we have two options here. We can either add a user column. We can add it to our notes spreadsheet, and it doesn't matter where you add the column. The order of these columns doesn't matter anyway, so it can be anywhere. Let's add a column called with the header user, right? And let's say we want to associate these notes with, we don't know who wrote these notes, like whatever system that was used to export the spreadsheet, it wasn't able to export the information about the user who wrote these notes. So let's assume that the user who wrote them is sample secretary, for example, and it is sample secretary who wrote all these notes and save the spreadsheet. So that's one way of providing the user information, the user who wrote this note. The other option is we can specify a default for the notes user, and we can do this from the defaults form. Here we have a field for the default for the notes user. If you don't have this information in your spreadsheet, or if you have a user name in the spreadsheet that doesn't exist on your FillQuick site, FillQuick will use this default user. So whenever it cannot tell the user who added the note, who wrote the note from the spreadsheet, it will fall back to this default user that we specified here. And I will save the defaults. Okay, and this should take care of the last error. Now let's look at the warnings. The first warning is coming from the customer's CSV. It says that custom column 1 is not a recognized header name. The column data will go in the imported data notes. Okay, let's open the customer's spreadsheet. And it's complaining about a column called custom column 1. And you see that at the end of, and by the way, there is another warning. It's almost the same. It's just this one is complaining about custom column 2. So these are the last two columns we have here, custom column 1 and custom column 2. You see that in the reference document, on the customer's sheet, it doesn't know about, or it doesn't mention any columns called custom column 1 and custom column 2. FillQuick does not recognize these column names and does not know how to map them to FillQuick fields. Those are not mentioned anywhere in the reference document. So FillQuick doesn't know how to map them to fields. So what it does, it warns you that these columns will not be mapped to any fields and will simply be put in a note. So that's what FillQuick does with the columns when it doesn't recognize them. It just puts their value as is in a note. And I believe this is the behavior that you will want in this case. Maybe your old CRM had a field that FillQuick doesn't have, so it's not possible to map this field value. In this case, the best thing to do with this value is just put it in a note. So I believe we fixed everything that was preventing us from completing this import. So let's go to the input step, and first let's delete all these old spreadsheets just so we can upload the new ones with the corrections that we just made. Okay, and now I'll go to the validate step and I will validate again. We did not get any errors this time, we just got a few warnings. Those two warnings are the same warnings that we got before, the warning about the custom column 1 and custom column 2. And we have a new warning here. It's about the customer CSV, the record number 8. It's complaining that sample technician X does not exist in your FillQuick site. So the imported customer will be linked to the default technician, and the technician name sample technician X will be put in a note. So FillQuick doesn't know who sample technician X is. It doesn't have such a user. So what it will do, it will link it to the default technician that we specified on the defaults form. This sample technician one right here. And this old technician name in the spreadsheet, it will put it in a note. And I believe most people will be fine with that and will just accept this warning and go ahead and complete the import. So I'll go to the third step and I click the import button. Okay, and we will see that all 10 customers were imported successfully. Now let's take a look at the imported data, and there is one customer that's particularly interesting, which is this record number 8, the customer Timothy Bailey. So let's pull up this customer to take a look at the imported data. And you will see that this is the data that was imported from the spreadsheet. And let's take a look at the technician. It was linked to sample technician 1, which is the default technician. And let's take a look at the note. You see we have an imported data note here. This is the old technician name that was imported from the spreadsheet. And these are the 2 columns that FillQuick did not know how to map to fields on the customer form. So I just put them in the note. Okay, well, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope that you will enjoy importing your data into FillQuick.